Today, I want to talk a little bit about things I don't normally talk about. I want to talk about feminism, about a movie, Manosphere, about personalities, public personalities like Candice, Owens. And the reason why I want to talk about it because I saw a short on YouTube, Candice talking in a derogatory way about women, that women are now aggressors. Candice has been pro man for a while, and it's been obvious, and it saddens me. It saddens me because I personally find her an exceptionally successful, bright woman, and I agree with her on many topics, but when I see a woman talk in such a way about other women, I mean, normally in today's society, if you're the age of 25, over the age of 25, you should at least understand where feminists are coming from. And I also want to say my stance on feminism. I do not like polarity, going too far one way or the other. So I stand somewhere in the middle. But having said that, I am a woman, and I do understand where women are coming from. And I will say that the worst thing I can do to a man is ruin his day, wound his fragile ego. I don't know, that's pretty much all I can do to a man. This is, I mean, of course this is in general terms, and there are women that do wicked things, but for the majority, this is all a woman can do to a man, while a man can do a lot to a woman. And it happens all day long in the world, and it happens every day. Very serious things. But with people like her, I think it's coming from this desire that is ingrained in a lot of women. For some women, it's a phase. For some women, it's a lifelong phase. For women like Ghislaine Maxwell, it's a desire to please a man. And a please not necessarily the shady ways, or I don't know how to say it appropriately and viewer friendly, but seeking a man's approval even in intellectual ways, because this is what Candice Owens is to me. She's desperately looking for man's approval. She wants to be not like other stupid women, this psycho screaming, I want female rights. She wants to be approved by a strong male, and the strong male will approve if she's convenient, if her loud opinions are convenient to him, and that's what is convenient to him. And in one of the interviews, she told the audience that feminism created people like Andrew Tate. So basically this toxic masculine was created by feminist movement. It's not the other way around. So the feminist movement wasn't created because women were abused, but women, so victims, are guilty. So women are guilty while men are abusive. Women refused to shrink. Not even refused to shrink. Women just shrink less. And that's why men have created a movement like the manosphere. It's women's fault. But this is ridiculous, and it's very, very sad, because I agree with her, like I said, on a lot of topics, but to me, she's compromised. And it seems to me like I cannot say all, because all is a very absolute statement, but most public personalities are compromised, who have large audiences. Because it seems like if they were honest and pro-people and anti-central government, they wouldn't be allowed to talk, because most seem like they compromised. And we discovered years later and just every year I see how those that I listened to years ago, and for some reason my inner self told me there's something's off about them. Then I discover why. Then I discover another one and another one and another one and another one. So you have to be very discerning and basically trust no one. And what comes to news and politics, you gotta stay as uninformed as possible. You have to keep you have to be unengaged and only familiarized with the most important that really concerns you or impacts you in one way, in some kind of way, and ignore everything and ignore everything else. Think about it. Candice herself has a husband. Have you seen her husband? He's very good looking. She, from my understanding, got married in her late 20s when she already had a successful career. Why didn't she marry in her early 20s? When she wasn't established? Why she didn't marry a 50-year-old guy and shrink herself and just serve him? Her timeline is not feminist. But if you want to establish yourself before jumping into a committed relationship and starting a family, because you don't want to dissolve like a piece of furniture, you're a psycho-feminist with pink hair. Most women that I know that wanted and want to be independent, and that includes me, is women who do not hate men, who do not think that men are horrible. It's women who didn't want to be mistreated, because very often whoever, if you are dependent on another, and that's another, very likely will abuse it. Not everyone will, but more will than will not. And very often, even if the other person is not gonna do anything serious, still, when you are dependent on another, you will shrink a little bit. You will constantly shrink. You're not gonna be expressing yourself how you would be if you had a solid foundation underneath your feet. If you knew you could any moment open the door and walk away. You would not tolerate a man yelling at you. but women have been doing it, and it's been a norm, and it's been very convenient to men. But then again, I do not want to sound like I'm an anti-man, and absolutely I'm not. There's a lot of great men out there, and the reason why we don't see it because they live quieter lives. They are probably not on dating apps, or there's just not as much drama going on around them, and they're maybe not as making themselves as public as men that are opposite to them. And in another interview, I heard her saying, "Oh, you want to work 9 to 5. You don't want a man to provide for you." It's not that. It's what I said, and I hardly ever heard somebody who wanted a 9 to 5 because they didn't want somebody else to provide for them. No, they just wanted to be able to survive on their own and not depend on somebody who could change on them tomorrow and or the same day and leave them on the street with nothing. I think I had more or less independent personality from a young age. And in terms of a man providing, oh yeah, you can provide, yeah, providing there is no issue. But you always want to have something going on for you. So you're not depending on another, because human beings are, we already know, especially in the spiritual community, where you're not supposed to rely on a human being. And I definitely also learned that in my family and in early relationships, men don't mean the things that they say. People in general don't always mean the things that they say, and there is nothing wrong to want to have a solid foundation before getting married. And yes, it gets harder as you get older. It gets harder. Why? Because you are not willing to shrink anymore, consciously or unconsciously. Sometimes it's not necessarily even an act of rebellion. Let's say you're sitting across the table from a man. It's a date. Let's say you're in your 30s and already have experience. Not necessarily you even have to have a lot of money, but at least enough wisdom, enough experiences, and again, it's not necessarily an act of rebellion, but in your manners, the way you talk, it's different than how you were in your 20s. And yes, it's a little bit, it's more difficult because you intimidate now a man intellectually, because it's not that easy to be up on you, and yes, this men are not going to be interested in you, but do you really want that guy? No, you don't. And also what gets more difficult as you get older is, yes, their past. Yes, a lot of people come already with a past, with children, previous relationships. Do you want to talk about other women? Yes, it's obviously it's more challenging in those ways, but also there's a lot more people. If a person was willing to grow through their experiences, then you have a chance to meet somebody who also kind of refine themselves, refine their personality, and now you can meet in the middle. You're in the middle, they're in the middle, and then you can have this more balanced relationship. For example, I also went through a phase where I unconsciously I did seek a male approval. I worked a certain period of my life, I worked in a male-dominated industry, and I think this is where I developed it a little bit. And I was thinking, who are the women who have this need? And I was thinking, isn't a woman who who grew up in a patriarchal family, I will say, for example, yes, my father is definitely, I did not look up to him. I did not think of him as honestly, he's a good husband and a good father. He was not that for me. So I definitely, that did not come from there for me. But I see women like Ghislaine Maxwell. It seems like her father was abusive towards her, and he was kind of he had a dominant personality. And I don't know. I think it's ingrained in so many levels of society that we don't even know where it's coming from. Being self-aware and realizing, and not realizing, like understanding where your actions, where your thoughts are coming from your true self, or from conditioning in society, from needing approval. A woman was not born to serve a man was not born to serve a woman. We are here to serve each other. We are to cooperate, but no one's life is more worthy to sacrifice your own for. And I don't think men would be very happy had women been doing everything to please them, or I don't think women would be very happy had men been doing everything to please them. Ideal is somewhere in the middle.